This is Apple Music.
I'm the worst thing and the best thing that's ever happened to all of you. We all know I love a good Vogue. It's not a surprise. This is Gaga Radio on Apple Music. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Gaga Radio on Apple Music. I'm super thrilled, excited to have this show and this opportunity to play an incredible mix of music every week and talk to some of my closest friends and collaborators who helped make Chromatica. The last few weeks, I've been, figuring out different ways at home that I can be of service to what I would call, the singular global community, one that I believe to be kind in nature, one that I believe to be very special to my heart, and I believe to the hearts of many. And so I've been thinking of all the ways that I can be someone that contributes to society and the world. Something I would like to really put out there is everyone that's listening, if you can, go get a tattoo of it, or maybe write it down on your mirror so you see it every morning when you wake up. But if you're over 18, don't forget to vote. It's very important that you vote, especially this year. But we're here now listening to Gaga Radio together, and I'm so happy you're with me. For the next hour, you're going to hear an amazing mix made by my friend, collaborator, and Chromatica family member, BloodPop. I'm also going to share a conversation he and I had about making this album. I hope you enjoy the first episode of Gaga Radio. Here we go.
You're listening to Apple Music.
This is Gaga Radio. Hello, Blood. It is your girl, Lady Gaga. I am coming to you from Gaga Radio.
Wait, who?
So everybody, BloodPop's on the phone today. I would say that from a production perspective as well as songwriting, with me, you've been the heart and soul of making Chromatica, and we're excited for everyone today, obviously listening to your music mix, but also I want to talk to you about what it was like making the record. And I feel like this record wasn't an accident, but it just kind of happened. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it just kind of happened without us even realizing it at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it was our friendship, because I just remember you coming over to my house and being like, come on, let's go downstairs, let's make some music. And I was super irritated all the time because I was going through some shit in my life. And I think you probably saw in me an ability for me to express that, depression through my music. And you really encouraged me. But I'm interested to know, I know you remember how, fast I was, churning out lyrics and then showing them to you and being like, what do you think? And it being a very organic process. I don't remember you very often just, not liking something.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically disliking anything specifically, but I do remember, so odd to interview each other because I feel like we've had every possible conversation you can have with a person. You would almost start writing these songs subconsciously before even, being in the studio. You'd start writing them on the deck.
Yeah, with 90 cigarettes in my mouth.
Yeah, like a cartoon.
Like an anime cartoon. Yeah. I don't want to go downstairs. I mean, I might as well have been 90. I don't want to make music. I'm tired. You'd be like, you just woke up. Do you feel like, personally for you, that this was the most that you've ever collaborated with other producers in a way that you just were kind of like, what the f would you do? This is what I did. I mean, because I saw you do a lot of that. I saw other producers do a lot of that. And that was generally our vibe was, may the best bass line win, right? Or may the best synth part win.
Yeah, it was a bit kind of finding what everybody's absolute strength was. And no one is a hyper genius at every single thing.
The hardest part of making this album, I feel like, was the last few months, no?
Yeah.
I was pulling my hair out personally writing music for 2.5 years just because I was writing about difficult things. But I feel like you at the very end, you very easily can make a sketch for a song with me there. We always had a song at the end of the day. But in those last 3 to 4 months, maybe even 6 months of finishing the record, it was every producer, every writer, every human involved with Chromatica went, can you do better than me? Did you hear what I did? And can you beat it? And like, how do you feel about that in music? Do you think that should be done more, or do you think that it shouldn't, or what are your thoughts on it?
I feel like a healthy amount of challenging yourself and the other collaborators is super positive for the outcome of the art at large.
I feel like when you're at the end like that, it's like you're driving a car through a forest. You're looking for the one house, and like there's really only one place to go, but like you got to go through all the other pathways to find it. And It was just such a special thing for me to be a part of and watch, and it was very freeing for me. And you guys were brave too in the way that you went, okay, well, I don't like what you did, right? And then somebody just like, we would just not use it, and they wouldn't be credited on the record. I mean, that's very different than working within an industry of people that like are like, you have to use exactly what I decide. Like, this is what I'm giving you, or you can't have my track. You know, this is just like a completely different way of operating. Do you feel like you'll do that moving forward, or did you feel like you did that because of me, because I'm crazy?
No, I mean, that's how I prefer to work, and actually a lot of people prefer to work. It's just hard to find yourself in those environments that support that, and you made that environment.
I sort of felt like at the end of the day, as complex as anything got, we were kind of going like, do you want to dance or not? With this version, does this make you dance? Could this knock harder? Could this resonate in a different way? And if it could, we'd push it further. And if it couldn't, it was kind of like, okay, stop, like don't pull the thread and then unravel the whole tapestry.
It's freaky to let versions go. Yeah, it's freaky.
Do you feel like I became more or less rigid, like as the process went on? I feel like I know what I think about it, but in the beginning with writing songs versus towards the end, do you feel that my creative process changed and how much I was willing to let go of? Because these songs are about my life. I mean, like I wrote the most intimate ever on Chromatica, the most intimate as it relates to Joanne.
Yeah, you definitely became less rigid, like especially like by the end, the kind of the final production we finished was Alice. And do you remember like the first time you heard Alice?
Yeah.
And by that point, that was one of those situations where I was like, don't be mad at us, but we tore it apart with Axel, don't be mad. And by that point, which was the last time we ever had to do that, you were like, yeah, play it, let's go.
Well, I was excited because I was so inspired. It's very rare that producers are willing to kind of like run it through the mill like that with everybody and then bring it to the artist and say, we made this for you, you know? Like to have it still have the heart and soul of everything I meant. I probably wrote that record at least 2 years before that production was finished, right?
Yeah.
And for it to not only be relevant, but for it to be an expression of what I'm saying and also be this modern classic dance record that still references so much of the past. It has that like perfect balance of like classic nostalgia with what we want to do right now. I feel like we all needed to go to like a mental institution after we were done finishing this song, and then there was a global pandemic and none of us could go.
This is Gaga Radio on Apple Music.
You're on Apple Music.
I always say that it feels like someone died or something died when a record comes out, but I feel like something that no longer served me died.
Yes.
Do you identify with that?
Yeah, like the person you are now is so different than when we started. And there's like 2 days I kind of consider you starting Chromatica. One is in Kansas City, and the other is when I made you cry at your birthday party. Do you remember that? When you had the miniature ponies?
Yep.
And you played me music?
Yeah, and you didn't like it. And I think I knew in my heart the reason why. And it's kind of the reason why people, I think, don't do therapy. It's like, I didn't want to write about the truth.
Right.
Every record that I played you was bullshit on wheels. It didn't sound like an artist.
It didn't sound like you.
No. I don't remember all of it. I was so depressed during so much of this that I just remember you trying to wake me up and inspire me. And I remember you trying to tell me that I could do it I remember you just saying, let's just go downstairs and try, right? And if I couldn't write a song that day, and if I had I had panic attacks like, every 3 times we were in the studio together, and I'd have to leave. I mean...
Yeah, it kind of became a routine of like, just trying to get out of that mental pit.
Yeah.
And the pit, getting out of the pit meant getting in the studio. Once you got working, like, it was hard to stop you.
I think about the beginning of the record, all I had to do was walk down a flight of stairs to get to the studio. And by the end of making the album, I was driving like my 73 Nova to Henson Studio, and I was wearing all my Chromatica gear, and like my style was redeveloping as a person. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I know that you know this about me. If I'm not doing well mentally, like I don't have style. I don't have a personality really. Like I don't have, my personality is just someone that's like drowning or feels like they're drowning. But I can't like tell you what I prefer to wear or prefer to listen to or prefer to eat. Is that how you would have described me? I'm okay with this, by the way.
I felt like you like turned such a huge corner when you started coming down in like full Gaga wardrobe, which was also around the time you started creatively working on Enigma, the Vegas residency.
Yeah.
And once that started, it's like, I don't know, it just became this exponential thing of you rediscovering yourself and remembering who you were, and not a negative way. Because you always used to say, I wake up and then I realize who I am and then I get sad again. And that always really got me. And at some point you lost that negative framing, which was so major.
Yeah.
And if I had to pinpoint a day, it was probably that day that you put all the songs on sticky notes, remember?
Yep.
And you were moving them around on that board. And I was like, we got to get out of this house.
Yeah.
You're ready. And you were.
Apple Music. This is Gaga Radio.
I think ultimately what helped me, Blood, is that I think I started to have a lot of gratitude for what not only I was capable of, but what people around me were willing to share with me that they're capable of. Like everyone that contributed, it's like I kind of went, wow, I can still write a song. And even if it was like this super heart-wrenching record, I was just grateful that I could do it, because at least I had that. And maybe that was the thing that made me, when I woke up in the morning, and I remember saying that to you, I'd say when I remember I'm Lady Gaga, I get really sad, because I love being Lady Gaga. I hate the lack of freedom.
Right.
And the lack of freedom is what comes along with the fame, and people tend to say, just, you asked for it. I mean, you used to joke with me, and you'd say you're the one that wanted to be a pop star.
Yeah.
But like also in some ways it's like being an artist. If for some of us, it's for me, it's not really a choice. I was gonna be Lady Gaga no matter what.
Do you remember those long talks we had about Free Woman?
Oh my God! I remember we were gonna call the album Free Woman, and I said, well, if we're gonna call the album Free Woman, we should take a photo of me on a porch with prison bars around it. Everybody was like, okay. But I feel like this was you. Like, I really have to say that, because this album was so personal, the immersion that I was experiencing personally, it was like, I don't want to put people through how I feel, right?
Right.
What was your experience in like watching me go like, are you sure, guys? Are we really calling this Free Woman? Do you really believe me when I say that? Is that really, because when I sang Free Woman, for me, I was singing it for the trans community. Like, that's how I felt when I was singing it. But
right,
and that's the only way I could make sense of that song for myself.
Right, because you didn't want to believe that you could be free on any level at the time.
I mean, I feel like I still struggle with that.
I think you knew that you wanted to get out of this feeling, and sometimes you do have to put the cart after the horse. You know, we had been working on this album for 2 years, and it was like, aside from my birthday party and your birthday party, we had never just like gone out for fun.
Nope.
You know, and you're like, I don't go out for fun.
Yeah.
And then we finally went out for fun, just me, you, and Hannah, and had an amazing night, and you walked out of there with 4 hot dogs. And
they had everything on them too. So
it was just like,
I was hammered. Oh my God. Bad.
But like, it was just like good to live, and like, you know, it felt like a normal night with your friends from like years ago.
Yeah, I left that party with 4 hot dogs and a hangover. And then
it was like, not only are you off the porch, you're out here.
But then we went to another party, and that's where I met my boyfriend. And then I feel like everything really started to change. When did you feel like you had to just stop?
We played the record for some people, and they were like, I love it.
Everybody loved it.
No, nobody really had like any kind of feedback, even like super critical music listeners.
You mean pretentious dance music makers? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Like a better words, yeah. And you're like, you're gonna have to let this go at some point. And you know, it's time. We set this date, and this is what it is.
See, I felt a much more like mental, emotional release with that record, where I feel like I kind of was like, goodbye. Like, I love you and goodbye. And everything that I've put inside of you, all of the thoughts, all of the music, all the sound, everything that I've left inside of you, I'd like for you to go out into the world, and I would like you to never come inside of me again.
Yeah, it was definitely on some level like an exorcism.
Chromatica for me was the portal that you and I opened in the studio, where we would open the portal and I'd go, okay, talent, creativity, voice from above, sign from above, come inside me, tell me what to say, tell me what to do. And most all of it was what I was truly feeling. So there was really only 2 things that could happen to me on any given day. I could either write a song and you'd be there to capture it, right? Or I'd be upstairs on the porch and I wouldn't write the song. I would just stare into the open sky and chain smoke cigarettes and cry.
This is Gaga Radio on Apple Music.
You're on Apple Music.
What's your favorite memory on making Chromatica with me? Even though, like, I feel like we're still making it.
I think maybe the first time we played you Right on Me, like with a new bass line.
Yeah.
Because you had come to like the point where you're like, the name of the album's Chromatica. I'm finishing it. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And you were just fully geared up, ready to go to Chromatica. And then we did this major change. We weren't sure if you were gonna, you know, because it was quite a big change. And
it was a huge
I just
change,
remember
but it was
you playing it super loud, and you're like, that bass line, the bass line. That was a good day. And you and Ari cutting Rain on Me, and you like, what if you tried this take with some dancing? And she was like, huh? And then, then you got.
She was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, Gaga, Gaga, oh my god, Gaga. My last question for you is, remember when you put all that art all over the walls for me? What made you want to do that?
I don't know. It was kind of like a gut feeling. I was like, I'm starting to see it, you know, I'm starting to see what this looks like. And I'm wondering if you were in tune with that and if putting those things up would resonate with you or move it forward.
Yep. I really thank you for doing that for me, because I think it's important for people to know that I feel like at the beginning of making this album, it was kind of like making music in the dark. And you putting up those posters later and that art was your way of going, hey, you know how you make art too? You're gonna do that next, right? So it was like, first it was like lyrics coming through, and then it was sounds, but it was all in the beginning. It was all in darkness. I didn't have a full vision for Chromatica at all until the end. You know that. I was just like, what can I make myself do? What can I write? What could I possibly come up with today on this day? That was what was probably going through my head. I would talk about how I wanted to kill myself, and then I'd write, keep my dolls inside diamond boxes, save it till I know I'm going to drop this front I built around me, oasis, paradise is in my hands. Holding on so tight to this status, it's not real, but I'll try to grab it, keep myself in beautiful places, paradise is in my hands. Like you got me to go from having no color at all in my life to having all the colors, right? No ability to see, hear, or translate anything I was thinking or feeling. And you woke up the artist in me. So I love you and thank you. And thanks for being on Gaga Radio.
Well, we love you too, LG. And think I speak for everybody involved that we really appreciate the trust and spirit of collaboration and love that you fostered throughout the whole project.
Thank you, and thank you for believing in me, because I'm a totally different bitch now, and I was down for the count. So for anyone that's wondering how I dug myself out of the grave that I used to sit in every morning, like I've said on replay, you're very much the reason. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've all come to the end of my first episode of Gaga Radio. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks to BloodPop for the incredible mix of music and for calling in and talking with me. I love you, man. I appreciate you so much. Also, you should check out Hannah's music, BloodPop's girlfriend. I love her. She's a really dear friend. She's on Instagram on @HannahTruly. I hope you'll join me next week. I'll share a new mix from Burns, another talented and amazing human who helped make Chromatica. Love you all. I love you so much. I'm kissing you, the whole world. This is Gaga on Gaga Radio on Apple Music.